Hillary Clinton does not represent the status quo. Hillary Clinton is a fighter. She's been a fighter all her life. I was there in the White House when she was fighting, for example, health care reform. And who was she fighting? She was fighting the Republicans, who she has always been fighting. I have been fighting. We have two parties in the United States. One is a party about the future. The other is a party that wants to go negative, go backward, and we cannot any longer afford
let's bring in the other
backward.
side to respond to that point. Laura, you brought it up, this notion of decline, Trump being a manifestation of change, difficult change, controversial change, but you believe change is necessary, regardless.
Well, first of all, Robert mentioned Hitler, Mussolini. Did you throw in Stalin and Pol Pot? I lost track.
I definitely threw in Stalin.
Okay,
Laura, not to suggest that
yeah,
Donald Trump
let me talk, and then you
company.
can actually get your time again. But look, this is what happens in a substantive conversation about the future of America, where substantive issues really kind of fade away in the background, and the conversation just moves to personal attacks or the most outrageous adjectives or, Trump's crazy, Trump's... And before you guffaw in the audience, let me just say this. Trump could go away tomorrow, and maybe it all clap and strike up the band, and I understand that, but Trump could go away tomorrow, and the carnage that has been left behind between the established cabal in Washington, which is comprised of Democrats and Republicans, not just Democrats or not just Republicans, but both of them, that status quo, which has left America behind and left the working class infuriated, that's still going to be there. So for all of Bob's, walk down memory lane about Hillary, I'm sure she's a wonderful person and she was a great person to know and date and all that. But that's not really relevant because for the last 3 decades almost, she's been in public life and has almost nothing to show for it. That might sound harsh, and I'm sorry. Her 4 years as Secretary of State rendered America not stronger on the world scene, but weaker on the world scene. Her 4 years in the U.S. Senate, after promising 200,000 jobs in upstate New York, guess what they got? A big goose egg. Hillary Clinton is the celebrity of the moment for the Democrat Party because Obama's going away. But the idea that there is a substantive record of accomplishment in the economy or in foreign policy that is going to galvanize the whole country behind her is just, it's obviously not playing out. If Donald Trump is the caricature that you make him out to be, she really should be ahead 60 points, Bob. She shouldn't be struggling in Florida, in Nevada, and even states like Iowa where Trump still has a narrow lead. If he's that outrageous, then you must think half of your countrymen are just completely bonkers or more.
Jennifer, you want to come in on this point? I want to stay on this topic of decline and how the candidates, let's just stay on track here.
Yeah, I beg the question to begin with.
Good, well.
Our unemployment rate in the U.S. is 4.9%. It's less than half of what it was when Barack Obama took over. We've had 15 million jobs created since February of 2010 at the end of the recession. It's been almost 80 straight months of job growth. And now we're seeing wage growth as well. So this notion that we're in decline, the challenge certainly has been for Barack Obama that he has been saddled with a Congress that refused to invest in a lot of the things that he would like to do to continue our progress further. But I would say this, Donald Trump would shove America into the cellar of international esteem so fast, believe me. The idea that he's got now people on his team that have given sort of oxygen to this dark underbelly. It's not everybody, certainly on the Republican side. It is a swath. But that swath of the electorate who is animated by this alt-right movement that where you go to Donald Trump's rallies, and they have the most horrific signs and chants, words we cannot even describe here, that you would be absolutely mortified by, and it's perfectly common at his events. The idea that he and that the people who are running his campaign, who run this Breitbart news site, which is the home of this alt-right, which is a white nationalist movement, the fact that they have trumpeted this America Firstism as though that's the rise of America, when that America First movement is a movement that started right during World War II to convince America not to engage against Hitler, when it has been seen now as a spin-off of this white nationalist movement, that would put America into decline. So yeah, the world is complicated, and there are complicated things happening in the Middle East. But what has Donald Trump said that he would do? He said that he would contemplate disengaging from NATO or at least not going to the defense of countries that haven't contributed their fair share, sort of upending the world order post-World War II.
I want to get to international affairs in a moment, and that will be part of this debate. But to come to you, Speaker, just have you respond to the governor here who's saying, look, America's not in decline, but Trump is taking us there.
There are two different parts to this. I mean, one is the left-wing fantasy that you have to invent some new horror in order to hide from reality. The fact is, as Nick Eberstadt, a very famous demographer, reported on Labor Day, 10 million men have dropped out of the job market. They're not unemployed, they're gone. They're not looking for work, they don't care about work, they're playing computer games or whatever. The fact is, right now, the opioid epidemic has gotten so bad that for the first time since the development of the mass-produced car, there's a new cause of death larger than automobile wrecks, and it's opioid addiction. Literally more people die today because the underclass of America, the collapse of belief in America, the whole sense of what's going on has led to an epidemic of a combination of Mexican heroin and Oxycontin, which is a horrifying system. Third, Gallup reports 25 million people have dropped out of the middle class under this administration. 25 million who were middle class are now dropped out. Now, this wasn't Donald Trump's fault. He wasn't in charge of the presidency. He didn't spend almost, how much money was in the original huge package in 2009? How little of it went to infrastructure? How much of it went to paying off various political allies? And finally, you talk about investments. They gave, $557 million to Solyndra for solar power, and it went bankrupt. In your home state, or second home state after Canada, they invested in a battery company which went bankrupt and was promptly bought by the Chinese. You can go around case after case after case. So I think it's a bit much to suggest that there's some extreme group over here on one side that America is going through three parallel revolutions. They're going through all the people who are drifting towards Trump. They're going through all the people who are drifting towards Sanders, and they're drifting. And there's a Black Lives Matter rebellion among younger blacks who are sick and tired of having been lied to and having nothing happen that improves their lives. All three of those are occurring simultaneously. None of them are Donald Trump's fault. They are manifestations of an establishment that has failed, that is corrupt, and that cannot deal with reality.